Good evening, fellow Hellenes and everybody watching around the world. We are broadcasting from Hellas, from the studio LFC's TV. We welcome you to the first ever program in English called Hellenes Uniting. Hellenes Uniting is about a program that shows the people around the world what the media doesn't want you to know. A media and a government which spread several fear tactics around the world and a bad image of what is actually happening here in Greece. They portray us as lazy, they portray us as people who don't pay their taxes, and in essence, it's a government which has signed memorandums that has led to thousands of people leaving for overseas, where we have 500,000 plus people that have left. We have had the surrender of our national sovereignty, which is a huge issue that many people don't know about, especially overseas. They have caused a 60% in unemployment rate, especially in the youth, and is memorandums that have led to over 40,000 suicides in Greece alone. This truth we will be presenting from the lens of Ellinon Synelevsis. Now, many of you may not know what Ellinon Synelevsis is. Maybe many of you have also heard negative things from the media because that's their role, to show you a different and false image of Ellinon Synelevsis specifically. And the program is about answering questions such as, is there really a debt in Hellas, in Greece, Hellas? Maybe there is money, as Papandreou has said, ότι λεφτά υπάρχουν, that money actually exists, that we don't know about. Is everything really nice with the refugees coming here? Is everything in a good environment? Or is everything actually really bad and negative around Greece because of the refugees that have come here in Greece, supported by this government? Speaking about Ellinon Synelevsis, we're going to go into a little historical journey of what Ellinon Synelevsis is. It's basically a 7-year battle, and from 2012, where one person came into the limelight, and his name is Themis, who has revealed global secrets that many had no idea about, many of us had no idea about, until he released the evidences, and we saw the evidences with our own eyes. Throughout the 7-year period, he has created over 400 offices, not just in Hellas, but around the world. And he has revealed many of the secrets where the governments, or not just in Greece, but global governments and global institutions have played in the role that has led to all these negative themes that I said before. In order to get a better view of what Ellinon Synelevsis is, we're going to play a short video regarding the 600 billion that Themis has deposited in the name of the sovereign Hellene democracy. And we will play that in the control right now, the first video.
Είναι μια έτοιμη απόφαση. Από την αρχή λέω σε όλους που πιστεύω ότι η δικαιοσύνη είναι δικό μου κομμάτι. Ανήκει στον ελληνικό λαό, όπως όλα ανήκουν στον ελληνικό λαό. Όπως η δικαιοσύνη, όπως η Βουλή είναι του ελληνικού λαού. Το κράτος, η Ελλάδα, ανήκει στους Έλληνες. Δεν ανήκει σε κάποιους διαχειριστές, είτε σε κάποιες λέξεις, είτε σε κάποια δόγματα. Η Ελλάδα ανήκει στους Έλληνες, γιατί είμαστε έθνος και δεν είμαστε κράτος. Πρώτα είμαστε έθνος και μετά γίναμε κράτος. Η απόφαση, ναι, στη δικιά μου τη δικαιοσύνη, γιατί αυτό υπηρετεί, ναι, ήταν μια τίμια απόφαση. Με κάποια δημοσιεύματα θέλαμε να δικάσουν σήμερα τα ομόλογα. Όλα στα δικαστήρια βγήκαν στο δημόσιο. Τα ομόλογα, οι υπαρξοί τους, οι τραπεζίτες μας, οι μάρτυρες από την Αμερική, όλος ο κόσμος. Σήμερα λοιπόν έμαθαν όλοι, και είναι και με τη βούλα του δικαστηρίου, τα 600 είναι γεγονός και πάντα ήταν για μας. Απλά είναι για εσάς σήμερα. Το δικαστήριο είναι για εσάς τους Έλληνες, για την Ελλάδα και για εμάς. Εμείς ξέρουμε από την αρχή τι βάζαμε, πώς τα βάζουμε, τι έχουμε και τι θέλαμε να κάνουμε. Σήμερα για εσάς ξέρετε με δικαστική απόφαση ότι τα 600 είναι υπαρτά και θα πρέπει η Ελλάδα να προωθεί και να πάρει τον δρόμο της ανηφοράς, δηλαδή τον δρόμο της ευημερίας. Τίποτα.
Μετά από αυτή την απόφαση, οι επόμενες κινήσεις.
Είναι πολλές οι δικαστικές κινήσεις. Υπάρχει απόφαση. Υπάρχει δικαστήριο και μήνυση, το οποίο αφήσουμε τη δικαιοσύνη να κάνει αυτό που έχει να κάνει. Για τους 302 υπάρχει Προβόπουλο, υπάρχουν και άλλες μηνύσεις. Είναι και μια δικαστική στρατηγική την οποία δεν θέλω να την βγάλω στον αέρα. Πραγματικά θα ενημερώνεστε και θα παίρνετε και θα πρέπει να συμμετέχετε, γιατί αυτό σημαίνει Έλληνας Ιερούς πολίτης. Γίναμε έτσι γιατί δεν ήμασταν ενεργοί, μωρέ. Τα αφήσαμε, μωρέ. Τα αφήσαμε, μωρέ, οι τραπεζίτες να κάνουν τη δουλειά τους. Μας κλέψανε. Τα αφήσαμε, μωρέ, να κάνουν οι πολιτικοί τη δικιά τους. Τα κλέψανε. Μα μας τα πήραν όλα και τώρα θέλουν την ψυχή μας. Γιατί τίποτα άλλο δεν έχουμε. Έχετε κάτι άλλο? Όχι. Τα χάσαμε όλα. Αυτή δεν τη δίνουμε. Και επειδή έχουμε ψυχή και πολύ, θα πάρουμε και τα άλλα που μας πήρανε. Δεν είναι θέμα προσέγγισης, είναι ένα θέμα να τα έχουμε καταθέσει, ξέρουν όλοι τι συμβαίνει. Έχουμε όλους τους μηχανισμούς ενημερώσει και όλους τους θεσμούς. Από εκεί και πέρα είναι θέμα δικό τους. Θα τα αφήσουμε η τεχνική τους και η τεχνική μας. Εμείς μπήκαμε απέναντι σε ένα σύστημα και θα το φτάσουμε στο τέλος. Κάποιοι νομίζουν είναι δυνατοί. Θα τους αποδείξω ότι είμαστε δυνατότεροι, είμαστε πιο πολλοί και ξέρουμε τι θέλουμε.
Θα γίνει.
Αδέρφια συνέλληνες, επιτέλους η δικαιοσύνη αποκαταστάθηκε και τολμώ να πω ότι σήμερα όχι μόνο εγώ αλλά και ο Γιάννης ο Σίμος, ο συνάδελφος, δώσαμε έναν ανελαίητο αγώνα ακριβώς για να αποκατασταθεί το αυτονόητο, η νομιμότητα και η δικαιοσύνη. Δεν είναι δυνατόν ένας άνθρωπος να δικάζεται 2 φορές, διεθνώς και παγκοσμίως. Μη σας κουράσω με άλλα νομικά. Από σήμερα η νίκη αυτή είναι η νίκη του ελληνισμού, η απαρχή της απελευθέρωσης.
Αδέρφια Ελλάδια, φίλοι μου, πολεμιστές μου, η Ελλάδα στα χέρια των Ελλήνων. Το δίκαιο θα το πάρουμε στα χέρια μας. Ξέρετε ότι το παρακράτος και το καθεστώς παίζει άσχημα παιχνίδια. Θα αντέξω μέχρι το τέλος και εσείς.
Ναι! Αρτέμι! Μαζί σου! Μαζί σου!
Ενώστε τους Έλληνες όλους.
Μαζί σου!
Themis was acquitted, and now 2 court cases should never have happened because you can't be charged for the same issue twice. The first court case defined and was clear that the 600 billion exists and is in the account towards the sovereign Hellene. Now that's something different to the Hellenic Republic. The Hellenic Republic is the government itself, the parliament as we know it today. But Themis deposited the 600 billion towards the sovereign Hellene, which is the people themselves. Something entirely different to the private company or the country called the Hellenic Republic. Also, so we had a second court case, as shown on screen, that also proved that the 600 billion exists, which never should have happened, but the government plays their role, they do their tricks to try and defame this issue as much as they can. Now, we're going to move on to recent events and recent important events that deals with Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης entering into the national elections. Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης is all about the citizen themselves, the citizen having an active role in the decisions of his politia, in the decisions of his state. And that's what Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης is all about. The person and putting the human in the center of every decision. So we are reaching national elections at the moment. And we have, actually before we get to that, let's show the court case, the δικαστική απόφαση, if we have it on screen, so you can actually see that because we speak with evidences, we have to show these things. Let's show the actual δικαστική, the actual court case on screen. That's on screen now, with the number 67650 in 2013. That's when the court case happened, and proved that the 600 billion exists. We can also show new evidences that have come to light regarding the balance sheet of the country. Now let's show, that's on screen now, which shows 2014 balance sheet, shows a sum of 94 billion, and every year before 2014 we have pretty much the same amounts, 94 billion and less, or around that number. As of 2015 and onwards, we have amounts, a huge amounts of 532 billion, of 563 billion the year after in 2016, and of 552 billion in the year after in 2017. And we even have 2019, which actually shows 600 billion. Keep in mind that this is in euros, and once you do the exchange rate into US dollars, because the 600 billion has to do with US dollars, it goes to the exact amount of 600 billion US. So the government themselves has shown through FEC, this is FEC, what you're seeing on screen now is a government gazette in English. So every law that is passed by government has to be produced in FEC, which is what you see on screen. So the government themselves has validated the amount, and they have to show it on their balance sheets. So this is another evidence that the 600 billion exists. We have more evidences which we will analyze the 600 billion in other programs, as well as the other offers that Themis has done, and other information regarding the unification of Hellenes, which is what the whole scope of Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης is. That is what Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης is, true democracy, where the people make the choices from the foundation of society, and not someone deciding what they want for the people from a pyramid perspective. So, let's move on, because as I said before, today's program is going to focus on the recent events regarding the national elections, and we'll show a video regarding certain parliamentarian candidates of Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης who are with certain stances, and they're going to say their opinions, and we're going to go to that video right now.
Η κοινωνία μας πλέον ζει με τους πιο αποστατικούς τρόπους. Η νεολαία μας είναι σε τεράστιο κίνδυνο. Τι καθόμαστε? Αυτή η παλιγενεσία πρώτα απ' όλα ξεκινάει από τον εαυτό μας. Να αλλάξουμε εμείς, να σταματήσουμε το άδικο και να πράξουμε υπέρ του δικαίου και υπέρ της πατρίδας μας. Δεν υπάρχει κάτι άλλο.
Άρα λοιπόν πηγαίνουμε στις εκλογές, δίνουμε το παρόν, δίνουμε την ψήφο μας στην Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης και επιλέγουμε μέσα από όλους τους υποψήφιους ποιος είναι αυτός που μας εκφράζει, που ταυτιζόμαστε με αυτόν. Και είναι πολύ εύκολο να γίνει, γιατί όλοι μας δεν είμαστε πολιτικοί επαγγελματίες. Είμαστε απλά πολίτες αφυπνισμένοι που έχουμε ενεργοποιηθεί και απλά είμαστε η ίδια η φωνή σου. Γι' αυτό λοιπόν σε αυτές τις εκλογές διαλέγεις αυτόν που σε εκφράζει για να είναι εκεί η δική σου φωνή και την επόμενη μέρα να έχουμε τη διακυβέρνηση της χώρας στα χέρια μας και να γίνει πραγματικότητα όλα όσα ο καθένας έχει ονειρευτεί.
Θεωρούσα ότι με την αποχή είχα έναν τρόπο να διαμαρτυρηθώ και έδινα ένα χαστούκι στο καθεστώς με το να μην συμμετάσχω. Δυστυχώς συμβαίνει ακριβώς το αντίθετο και θα πρέπει εδώ να αντιληφθούμε όλοι οι πολίτες που δεν κατεβαίνουν στις εκλογές ότι με αυτόν τον τρόπο, με την αποχή, επιβραβεύουμε το καθεστώς. Και ακριβώς επειδή το ποσοστό των ψηφισάντων είναι ελάχιστο, από εκεί βγαίνουν τα ποσοστά των κομμάτων. Όσο μεγαλύτερη είναι η αποχή, τόσο ευκολότερα εκπληρώνεται το έργο των κομμάτων που έχουν σαν σχέδιο τη γενοκτονία του Έλληνα και του ελληνισμού.
So the important message that these fellow Hellenes have shown right now is that the citizen himself becomes active in deciding his life, in deciding the future, because the Eleanos Synelipsis gives him that opportunity, because that is what Eleanos Synelipsis is all about. And you heard that from the fellow candidates, parliamentarian candidates, who will be candidates for the national elections on the 7th of July in Greece. It's important to note that in the last elections, the Euro elections, which we had 1 month ago, we had a huge abstinence of about 60% of the population. Abstinence means they didn't vote in the elections. And that's very understandable, because we see that the people themselves cannot handle this government that we have at the moment. They're totally inactive in voting, because they see that there is no light at the end of the tunnel for them. However, as the parliamentarian said, the time has come where the actual ethnos, the nation, now has a legal representation, and that's what Eleanos Synelipsis is. That's what Themis has created, the political body which represents the nation. It represents the people themselves, and not the Hellenic Republic, which I said before. And so you can understand what the Hellenic Republic is. We actually have a document here. This can be seen on, you might not be able to see it on screen, but it basically says Hellenic Republic has pretty much a tax file number. It's a private company, the government, with 40931106. If you look that up on Google, you can actually find that Hellenic Republic is actually a private corporation. Let me say that number again. So 40931106. That is why Artemisoras deposited the 600 billion into the sovereign democracy of Hellas, which represents the people, and it's a separate entity to the private corporation, as I said before. So there you have it. We have people, candidates of Eleanos Synelipsis, which Eleanos Synelipsis gave them the opportunity to be active citizens and to help inform more people, especially the people that have been absent in the voting process, especially in the Euro elections last month. So they can vote for Eleanos Synelipsis, so they can vote for their own representation of the nation. They can vote for their own self, because Eleanos Synelipsis is the people themselves. So this program is going to focus on other candidates as well. We're going to go to the next candidate, parliamentarian candidate. His name is Nikolaos Menegis of Eleanos Synelipsis. And we're going to go to a video that Menegis analyzed, and we're going to go into that. Let's show that video, which Mitsotakis has created a Islamic committee that's going to have institutional and public power in Greece. Let's go to the video so you can get a better understanding. Mitsotakis.
Έχουμε ακόμα πολλά ζητήματα τα οποία πρέπει να αντιμετωπίσουμε. Γι' αυτό και δικιά μου πρόθεση, δικιά μου βούληση είναι να δημιουργήσω ένα μουσουλμανικό συμβούλιο παρά το Πρωθυπουργό, ώστε η μειονότητα να μπορέσει να έχει επίσημη έκφραση στο ανώτατο δυνατό επίπεδο και ο διάλογος αυτός κεντρικής πολιτείας με μειονότητα να αποκτήσει θεσμικά χαρακτηριστικά. Να θέσουμε συγκεκριμένους στόχους, να τους παρακολουθούμε και να τους υλοποιούμε στη συνέχεια. Θεωρώ ότι είναι το ελάχιστο το οποίο μπορώ να κάνω για να συνεχίσω μια πολιτική την οποία ξεκίνησε ο Κωνσταντίνος Μητσοτάκης σπάζοντας ταμπού και προκαταλήψεις δεκαετιών. Μια πολιτική όμως η οποία σήμερα που ζούμε τη ριζοσπαστικοποίηση θρησκευτικών πληθυσμών σε όλα τα μέρη του κόσμου αποδεικνύεται πόσο σοφή ήταν. Και σε συνεργασία με τις περιφερειακές διοικήσεις, με τους δήμους, με τους τοπικούς δημάρχους, τους τοπικούς άρχοντες, να μπορούμε αυτήν την πολιτική να την υλοποιήσουμε με την μέγιστη δυνατή αποτελεσματικότητα.
So there you have Mitsotakis talking about a Islamic committee which will be right next to the presidency of Greece, in which it will have institutional power that has direct influence on the public, which is the people themselves. So this could mean that they could even have certain Sharia law, they have certain benefits, of course, by the government itself in terms of funding, and pretty much it is a strategy which will, with the purpose of eliminating the identity of the Greeks themselves in their own country, because we see thousands of immigrants coming into Greece, and what's left is for Mitsotakis to create an actual body for them to have institutional power. That's what Mitsotakis wants to do if they are to receive governance of the country. Let's also go to a similar case where another institution also has public power, and that's been in Greece for many years now, which is called the Central Israeli Committee. Let's go to that. Κεντρικό Ισραηλικό Συμβούλιο. This is a government gazette which shows this Israeli Central Committee, which also has institutional power, and so the people can know that Jews in Greece don't pay taxes because they're part of this committee, and everyone who is part of this Israeli committee, we have many parliamentarians at the moment that are part of this committee, don't pay taxes and has institutional power and can govern the education system and has certain influences on many institutions and ministries of the state. And we see this in our education system. We won't go too much into this specific Israeli committee, but it's just for the people to understand that the same thing applies for the Islamic committee that Mitsotakis is trying to bring forth and create. We're going to go to the next article that Menegis, as I said, the parliamentarian candidate Nikolaos Menegis, analysed several articles, and he focuses on the political parties, and that the political parties are actually all one. There is no difference between the political parties in the greater scheme of things. They are all for the same design that is against the interests of the Hellene citizen. And he proves this through certain articles that we produced here on LFSIS TV. And the first article deals with the Communist Party. Now, it's important that the people know that the governing party isn't the party that governs in reality. The whole parliament governs. That means that all the political parties that are currently in the parliament all govern, and they're all part of the laws that are passed towards the people and institutionalized. So all parties decide on the future of Greece together. So the memorandums that were passed, the three memorandums that were passed, were accepted by all the parties involved, all political parties, whether it's the Communist Party, whether it is the Liberal Party, whether it's Tsipras' Syriza, all of them are co-conspirators in the design of the memorandums that have led to everything we actually know today, that I mentioned earlier in my introduction. So every political party and every parliamentarian has every right to make a stance against legal decisions that is passed in government, but we see that no one ever makes a stance and no one ever represents the Hellene citizen himself. So we're going to go to this article and we're going to focus on the immigration, the refugees. That's going to be our main topic of discussion in this program. So we see that the Communist Party makes a call to refugees and immigrants to join their ranks. This was recent, this is in 2019, where they invite all the refugees to come to the Communist Party and that they will provide all the support. They say, of course, the Communist Party says that the immigrants have they have negative conditions, they don't have good conditions, that they're all very poor, that they're all on the streets, that they're all in a bad state and require some basic needs which apparently they don't have. Whereas Menegis does a good analysis of different articles, and the last article will actually show the exact opposite, that they are treated very fairly, that they're treated fairly above more than what the Hellenic citizen is treated. And it's important to note that many of the immigrants that come from overseas are not even from war-torn countries. And yet we see thousands of immigrants coming into Greece from countries that don't even have war, from countries that there's no need for them to even leave from, whether it's Bangladesh, Afghanistan. If we could think of one country that you could say, yes, they should be here, is Syria. Whereas we see many countries sending immigrants and refugees to Greece, which is creating many problems, especially in the islands and the Aegean and the Mediterranean, causing many problems for the locals, and which the media doesn't report what the people actually see for themselves in the islands, what the Greek people see, the difficulties, the crime rates that have increased. None of it is reported by the media, and that's why we have a negative image around the world of a negative image and a not an accurate image of what is actually happening. So moving on from the call that the Communist Party makes to the immigrants, so the gathering ranks, we go to another article of the Communist Party, which is, this is the title, if Erdogan attacks, our members will fight domestic capitalism. This is the article here. And it basically says that the Communist Party will tell the members not to fight if there is an external attack from Turkey. They will not take a defensive stance, they will not take a stance against Erdogan or the attacking army, but they will take an attack stance against capitalism and against their own government that rules today. So again, we see that in the history of the Communist Party in Greece, they are responsible for many civil wars, and this is what Menegis analyzes, that the Communist Party is responsible for civil wars, the civil war that happened in Greece. And we see again through this article that they want to create possibly another civil war by not taking part in a possible war that can happen with the government. Again, we see that nothing is really in favour of the Hellenic people. Nothing is ever decided in favour of them, and we see that the political parties are all really one if we analyse the issues behind the scenes. We're going to go to another article now. This is again regarding immigration, where the UN Secretary General's message for the World Refugee Day. Now, global institutions such as the UN, their main role is to ensure that there is peace among the member states, to make sure there's peace in Greece, to make sure there's peace in all the European countries and around the world. However, we see that in Greece itself, and from the information I gave earlier in my introduction, the suicide rates, the many people that have left Greece, and the fathom and the unemployment rates, we see that they are not performing what the people have paid them for, and that is to uphold peace and a sense of harmony for the people. We see that through this person's statement now, and Menegis correctly says it as a replacement of populations, because we see that immigrants come to Greece and replace the Hellenes themselves. We see that everything, one of his statements now is that what refugees need most urgently is peace. Well, at the expense of who? At the expense of the Greeks? At the expense of the Hellenes living in their country? These institutions, the UN, should be able to create peace for everybody. And yet we see that many non-profit organizations fund these immigrants from around the world to come to Greece and create all the problems that we have seen today. And we are continually seeing, because if you speak to the Greeks in the islands, if you speak to the locals, they will report exactly what is happening with these immigrants, and that the crime rates have increased a lot because of them. Now, we're going to go to a very important issue, and this is the issue, and it's called the global balance sheet. This is probably the secret of all secrets that Artemis Soras and Eleonis Enlevsis has revealed to the people. It's basically it stems from the Bretton Woods Agreement that happened in 1944, and I'll do a quick little summary. We will have another program that will analyze the Bretton Woods Agreement, exactly what has happened, but for now let's remain just a summary of what it is. Basically in 1944, because of war-torn countries, many countries deposited their gold and created this institution called the World Bank. The 1944 Bretton Woods Agreement, we saw the creation of the World Bank, the CIA, the IMF. The economic system that we know today is because of the Bretton Woods Agreement. So we have the construction of a World Bank where all these countries deposited their gold and which would receive a 4% increase every year from 1944 up until now. And we're talking about sums that exceed trillions. Now this is a secret that has been kept from the people for many years now, and Artemis Soras and Elion Synelipsis have revealed it. Have revealed this secret and have revealed the actual World Bank balance sheet that lists 198 countries and the amounts they have, the amounts that they have today from that 4% increase every year from 1944. In essence, the whole agreement was for because we had war-torn countries in 1944. This would provide a little piggy bank, or a big piggy bank, for the countries to infrastructure from war-torn countries and create again for the better of the people, and so they could receive funds from these accounts to create a whole lot of infrastructure and prosperity for the people that came from the war-torn countries and came from all that destruction from the wars. However, we see the exact opposite, unfortunately, today. We see that the opposite happened, that certain people hijacked the system, and this Bretton Woods Agreement wasn't acted out as it should have been. Now, I'm going to show let's show the FEC first of the Bretton Woods Agreement. That, as I said, the Government Gazette is law, and it proves that the Bretton Woods Agreement actually happened, and that it was validated in Greece and many other countries. You can see that, if you can sort of see there, it says Hellas. Hellas is listed there as being part of this agreement. And we can show the next photo, which is yes, that's the last. That's Greece's amount as of 2007. Greece has 115 trillion in accounts as a result of the Bretton Woods Agreement, with that 4% increase per year from then until now, until 2007 in that document, where Greece has an amount of 115 trillion, and yet the government says that we are in debt, that countries are in debt. We also have other countries, Afghanistan, which is here. Afghanistan has an amount of 200 billion in its accounts. We have Syria, the war-torn country that the media has been saying, has a total of 511 billion. Now, you might not be able to see it there, but it says that, it shows the bank that these amounts are deposited into, and it says the number 4%. That 4% is every year from 1944 to result in the 511 billion that that country has as of 2007 of that balance sheet. So the amount today in 2019 is a lot more than what you see on screen. We have Sudan with 500 billion US. We have Somalia with 500 billion in accounts here as well. We have Bangladesh, which has 5.9 trillion in amounts. All these amounts here add up to 5.9 trillion. We have Iran, 11.8 trillion here. We have Iraq as well. So right now I'm showing countries that immigrants are coming from, that immigrants are fleeing from and are coming into Greece. And this secret of all secrets that Artemis Soras has produced basically proves that there is no crisis, that there is no economic issue of the planet. It's all here. It's all in this world balance sheet that he revealed. Countries all around the world, this is even Australia here, which has 7.2 trillion. And down here we have the signature of the Prime Minister, the representative to the United Nations, and the economics minister of every country, not just of Australia. Here we have Greece, we have Papoulias, the president of democracy, the pre-president of democracy. We have Vasilakis, he is the representative to the UN of Greece, and the economics minister, Alogoskoufis, of 2007. So every country has 3 representatives from the country that sign these documents. And not only them, but we have a whole lot of other institutions that sign these documents, including the UN itself. So this person that I said before, let's just find that article before. His name, Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, surely, and of course knows about the heritage funds of the countries. But, of course, if they were to reveal these amounts, it would destroy the pyramid they have created. It will show that people have wealth and that there is no need for wars. There is no need for people to be coming to Greece. All these immigrants and refugees fleeing from war-torn countries, well, supposedly from war-torn countries, to come into Greece. There is no need for that, since we have so much money as a result of the Bretton Woods Agreement. And now Menegis goes into the final article, which actually says, because the political parties, including Mitsotakis of New Democracy, and including the Communist Party and Syriza themselves, who try to portray the illegal immigrants as people that are poor in this country, as people that are on the streets, and that we should show mercy, that they are at the mercy of the non-government organizations. This article now shows how much financing is involved that goes towards these immigrants. For instance, we're talking about 320 rental, this is got to do with the municipality of Athens. 320 rental apartments housing the immigrants. We are talking about hospitality services, equipped apartments, they're all rented out. The rent, of course, is paid by the government. The basic needs are covered. The basic daily living needs are covered. They have everything they need to get by, and a lot more than what the Greek citizens do. So this article pretty much shows us how much financing is being put for the well-being of these refugees, while in Greece itself, the people of Greece, the citizens of Greece, are in fathom, are in poverty, are committing suicides, they are leaving Greece. We have so much negativity regarding issues of the Greeks, and yet all this money exists to fund the refugees. The basic needs, as in food, pharmaceuticals, personal hygiene, clothing and footwear, is all covered, whereas we see Greeks on the streets. And that's basically what Menegis, the parliamentarian candidate of Ellinos Synelipsis, analysed. And inform the people that although the immigrants are getting so much support, the Greek citizens themselves aren't receiving any support at all, and has led to all these negative events. We also see that non-government organisations like the Red Cross, the Stavros Niarchos Association, very rich families and associations are all involved in supporting these refugees, whereas when we had the memorandums, where were these non-government organisations? Where were they to support Greece and bail out Greece in 2010 and through the other 3 memorandums? They weren't. Obviously, it's all part of a design for the Greeks to lose their identity, and that's what these articles are showing us. So in the end, the victim of all this is really the human himself, because even the immigrants are people, they're humans, but they're also victims to all this because they have a whole lot of wealth in their countries that they don't know about because the governments purposely keep it from them. So Ellinos Synelipsis comes to the limelight now in order to show that, reveal these secrets, and to reveal the Bretton Woods Agreement, and reveal the great amount of wealth that the countries have. And it's important for us to show this information so people can understand what is happening, what is truly happening, especially in the economic side of things, in the economic politics of the world. Let's go to now the next video where Menegis analyzes from Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης the policy statements of Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης that can rectify all these problems that exist today. Let's go to that video.
Η Ελλάδα δικαιωματικά θα πρέπει να αντιληφθούν όλοι οι Έλληνα πολίτη ότι ανήκει στους αυτόχθονες Έλληνες ηθαγενείς. Και είναι η ταυτότητα που θα πρέπει να ενθυμηθείς ποιος πραγματικά είσαι εσύ Έλληνα πολίτη. Ότι είσαι ιδιοκτήτης εδώ, στη χώρα μας, και δεν είσαι ένας υπάλληλος ή ένας υπήκοος. Θες να ζεις ως άνθρωπος και ως Έλληνας. Γιατί το ξεχάσαμε. Για όσους δεν είναι Έλληνες, αυτόχθονες ηθαγενείς και ζουν στον ελλαδικό χώρο, η ελληνοπολιτεία δείχνει μεγάλο σεβασμό. Με ισονομία όμως, με ισοκρατία και ισοπολιτεία, που σημαίνει ότι κανένας δεν μπορεί να έχει περισσότερα δικαιώματα από τον Έλληνα ηθαγενή πολίτη. Καμία ομάδα, καμία συντεχνία, καμία λέσχη δεν μπορεί να έχει πιο προνομιούχα σχέση με την πολιτεία από τον Έλληνα ηθαγενή πολίτη, που ο Κυριάκος Μητσοτάκης θέλει να ιδρύσει και μουσουλμανικό συμβούλιο. Η πολιτεία οφείλει πρωτίστως να σέβεται τον εαυτόν της. Και όταν συμβαίνει αυτό, μπορεί κατ' επέκταση να σέβεται όλους τους άλλους. Όταν η πολιτεία δεν σέβεται τον εαυτό της, δεν μπορεί να απαιτήσει σεβασμό από τους πολίτες. Η πολιτεία δεν ξεχωρίζει τους πολίτες ανάλογα με το κόμμα, το χρώμα και το δόγμα. Το μόνο κριτήριο είναι η ελληνικότητα. Αυτή η ελληνικότητα καθορίζεται από την γενεαλογική προέλευση. Δηλαδή από το αίμα. Δηλαδή από το DNA. Η φιλοξενία μας ανήκει στην παράδοσή μας. Και θα μπορεί ο καθένας να διαβιώνει μαζί μας εφόσον αποδέχεται ως τρόπος ζωής τα ελάνια αξιακά πρωτόκολλα.
Now, Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης has lodged its policy statements to the Supreme Court of Greece, of Athens, with protocol number 6199 on the 4th of the 9th, 2015. That's this booklet here. Now, what do I mean when we say it lodged its policy statements to the Supreme Court of Athens? It means that whatever is written in these policy statements is legally bound. And that means that Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης and the people of Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης have to go by to the word whatever is written in this booklet, in the policy statements of Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης, which is also translated in English. These are the policy statements in English for whoever wants to have a read. No political party, no current political party in Greece has ever lodged their policy statements to the Supreme Court of Athens, Arios Pagos. They have never done this, that in this way they can say whatever they want, false promises, without acting out after their governments, after receiving governance. Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης is the only political body, and I won't call it a political party because a party with a body is two different things, and I'll explain this in a bit. Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης is the only political entity and body that has lodged these policy statements to the Supreme Court, and they are legally bound. If they do not perform to the T what is said in these statements, they can be faced with charges not only by the state but by the people themselves, the citizens, if they do not abide by these policy statements. Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης are the only ones, therefore, that have lodged their policy statements. And I'll quickly explain why I call Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης a political body instead of a political party, which means in Greek, so you can understand, some people can understand, is that the difference between a koma and a foreas, because Ελλήνων Συνέλευσης is a political foreas. It houses all of the Hellenes, irrespective of what religion they belong to, dogma, irrespective of the social class, the economic class, and irrespective of their political agenda, their koma, whatever they were associated with in the past. It doesn't matter, because first they were born Hellenes, and that is what the Hellenon Synelpsis focuses on, the human himself. That's why it's a body. If we think of the human body, it houses all of the organs, therefore it houses all of the different people in Hellenon Synelpsis, whereas a political party has certain ideologies. It has a communist perspective, it has a fascist perspective if you want, it has a socialist perspective, and it splits democracy into segments, whereas democracy is one entity. Democracy is the power of the people, democracy is the power of the municipality, because that's what Hellenon Synelpsis focuses on, the power of the municipalities, and where the people make their own choices for their future within these municipalities. And that's what Hellenon Synelpsis is, the human being put in the middle of every decision in each municipality for their future. And that is why Nikolaos Menegis analyzes that we don't see refugees as we don't put labels as the refugee person or a refugee child. It's a human being, and he deserves, just as the people living in Greece, they all deserve to live in conditions that are in favor of the human being. We focus on the human being himself, and that's what the world should be focusing on. So in Greece itself, when we talk about the Hellenes and what the Hellenes should have in terms of rights, no one else can have more rights than the Hellene human being in Greece. And that is what our policy statements say. And no one can receive nationality other than the Greeks living in Greece. Whereas we see Syriza today and the governance today giving nationality to refugees, to people that are of Hellene origin, and nationality is a very big thing. Nationality is something very sacred and very unique that should only belong to the indigenous sovereign Hellenes of Greece. It shouldn't be given out like candy to anyone they want, or anyone this current government wants and this current regime. So we have great respect, as mentioned in our policy statements, towards all human beings, irrespective of their nationality. But at the same time, they can't have more privileges than the actual Greeks living in Greece. They are all equal among the law, and that is how the governance of a country should be. We see the exact opposite though with the political parties. We see that they give them ithagenia, which is the nationality, as I mentioned. We see that they give them that they create institutions that have direct effect with the government of our country, and we see that they're funding all these people instead of funding the Greeks to cure all the problems that we are facing today. So that brings us towards the end of our program. As we said, there will be more programs that will focus on other parliamentarians and other candidates of Hellenon Synelpsis, where, as I said, Hellenon Synelpsis gives the opportunity for the citizen, the Hellene citizen, to become a politician, not in the essence that we call a politician today, where they're all words and no action, with the rightful meaning of a politician, of a politi, because citizen is politis, and politis has to exercise political politics. So politis, politiki, and once that happens, then they can create civilization, which in Greek is called politismos. Politis, politikos, politismos is all a trinity that is very important for the benefit of Greece and for Hellenism abroad and for humanity abroad. So this brings us to the conclusion of our program, the program Hellenes Uniting, the first ever program in English, which investigates the facts, investigates the reality of what is actually happening in Greece and around the world, and it shows that for the people all around the world so they can understand and see the truth, so they can see true justice instead of the injustice that the media portrays and that the media wants you to know. Thank you for listening, and remain in tune to the program. More programs will follow, and keep watching. Thank you very much, and δύναμη φως.
Που σήμερα σε καλώ να με ψηφίσεις για να πολεμήσω για σένα. Απέναντι σε όλα αυτά τα κομματικά μορφώματα που σε οδήγησαν, αλλά στην ουσία μας οδήγησαν. Γιατί εγώ με σένα, εμένα και το αυτό, είμαι Έλληνας πολίτης που διαβιώνω στις ίδιες συνθήκες που διαβιώνεις και εσύ. Και προέρχομαι από τη βάση. Και δεν μου έχει χαριστεί τίποτα σε αυτή την κοινωνία. Και όλοι μαζί ενωμένοι Έλληνα πολίτη, να βάλουμε ένα τέλος σε αυτό το άδικο και σε αυτό το φθόνο που διαβιώνουμε και να ορίσουμε εμείς το πώς θέλουμε να ζήσουμε. Άρα και σε 7 Ιουλίου ζητώ την ψήφο του Έλληνα πολίτη. Ξεκάθαρα, για να υλοποιήσουμε όλο αυτό το τεράστιο πρόγραμμα και να ακουστεί η φωνή σου, Έλληνα πολίτη, μέσα στο Ελληνικό Κοινοβούλιο.